obviously some amazing talent on this film. And also to be able to work with Luca Guadagnino, his work is incredible, and I love so many of the projects that he's made. Ever since Call Me by Your Name, obviously his breakout film, which is one of my favorite independent features. I think his directing style is unique, and I love the color grading and the shots that he uses in films. And so I was particularly excited to see how someone like him would come together with someone like Julia Roberts and create something.
Yeah. And Bella, in terms of the plot, this is sort of dare I say, it seems like the perfect job, the one of the high prestigious sort of job, dare I say, a well sort of paid job. It looks like that everything in the balance is working well, and dare I say, one night of unspoken controversy turns everyone's worlds upside down, and dare I say, it becomes a battle of wits, a battle of minds, and dare I say, a battle of the heart ruling the head.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting one, and the film has already had a pretty mixed response. I'd say mostly positive, but I think it's definitely a risk when you're making a film like this. You're getting people talking and you're getting answers to things. And I personally did a controversial role earlier this year, and a lot of actors don't like to do them because they think, oh, but this could go the wrong way, and people might get angry at the message of this film. But actually, I think those are the most important films to do because you want to do films that get people talking. And so the idea behind this film, it is a new thing that not a lot of people are exploring. And obviously the idea of consent is something that has been talked more and more about over the past few years, which is why I think this film is so important. I personally had an experience when I was in school. It wasn't me; it was one of the students that was in the school with me who went through something similar to Io in this film. And having seen it firsthand, it was definitely interesting seeing it in film format. And I think it is a very important conversation to get started about consent.
Yeah, and I suppose Bella, you mentioned that, but what intrigued me was this wasn't the cruel intention sort of a look where you have a Reese Witherspoon leading sort of limelight in terms of maybe this has a racial sort of implement in it. There's a minority backgrounds in terms of this, in terms of someone maybe taking advantage and exploiting someone that mightn't have the same power or the same say, dare I say, in
Yeah.
terms of maybe someone of the upper class society, someone that's probably came from humble beginnings to reach where they were in terms of that mightn't have the greater vice, or vice might be sort of put down, dare I say, because of our background, because of our dynamics, dare I say. So it is intriguing because you mentioned about controversial, but that brings the other side of the controversy as well. This isn't like a Denise Richards or a Reese Witherspoon, dare I say, in terms of that has been, dare I say, taken advantage of.
Yeah, it's definitely a much more serious film in that regard. Is yeah, I wouldn't compare it to Cruel Intentions for
Yeah.
sure. But it's yeah, I mean that's why it's so important. There are so many different conversations that can get started, and obviously there is that card of background and where someone has come from, and do people take advantage of that in the film? Do people take advantage of that in the real world? Can it be generalized externally? And I think the answer is very much yes, in a lot of different areas of the world, in a lot of different situations where this has actually happened. So that's, I would 100% agree with you. That is a conversation that I think has also been started by this film. You know, people taking advantage of your demographic and maybe thinking that you don't have as much power as other people. This it is something that could be seen more and more as universities, particularly in the UK, I know, are now, trying to be more inclusive and let people in from lots of different backgrounds. And so who knows what's going to happen? I hope not this.
Okay. And Bella, can you tell us about your character and your role in the movie?
For sure, yeah. So I play a Yale student. Obviously, Andrew Garfield, Io, Julia Roberts, they're all at Yale. And so there is, I don't want to necessarily ruin the plot for anyone who hasn't seen it. There is a very dramatic scene that I'm involved in. It is nodded at in the trailer, but it's
Right.
not fully shown. And it's essentially where I it's think if you think about the internal conflict that Julia Roberts is experiencing throughout the film, it's sort of when that conflict just reaches a peak and she can't handle it anymore. And that is the scene that I'm particularly involved in as a Yale student, without going into too much plot detail and ruining it for anyone that
Okay.
hasn't watched.
And are you, dare I say, are you being a model student or you're misbehaving at that point?
Oh, I would say a little bit of both.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, until this point, I'm very much a good student, a good Yale student, but I think everyone at this point is rebelling and thinking that they can because they're kind of coming together against this professor.
Okay. And dare I say, in terms of filming, I know you filmed in Cambridge a bit, in terms of, aside from London, in terms of the scenes, I do believe, in terms of the college campus sort of background. Was that sort of intriguing, dare I say? And I do believe you shot this over 1 month as well, if I'm correct.
It was, yeah, the shooting period was actually quite small. Gosh, it's funny you say Cambridge because it was one of those very 007 experiences where I would get picked up from a location outside London and then driven to set. So I had no idea if it was
Okay.
even Cambridge. That's funny. I guess maybe it was in a studio there. But I mean, to me, it was very much just it was the sound stage. It was just a big sound stage, so it could have been anywhere. But yeah, it was just literally two buildings and the rest of it was green screen. So everything was built around that as a set, which I
Okay.
always find really fascinating. I remember when I shot Ghostbusters a couple years ago and they had the streets of New York and they had, a couple of buildings then you actually watch the film and it looks like the streets of New York and it's amazing. It's so clever the way that they do it.
And tell me, in terms of Luca, what when he spoke to you or you first arrived on set, what was he sort of words to you in terms of his sort of vision?
Luca is a fascinating person. He's one of the coolest directors I've ever seen in action. Um, Something I loved telling people, I told them that my first day on set, when he likes a take, which is often because obviously, he's working with some great people, so they don't really need many takes. He goes, "Bada!" at the end of the take, and I really loved that. I thought that was really cool because I always saw him as he is a very serious director, but I wouldn't have imagined him doing that. He's very fun. Um, you can really see the vision coming to life in his head when he's picturing what he wants, and everything is quite articulated. Um, I've worked with directors who kind of wing it a little bit more, like Christopher McQuarrie during Mission Impossible, whereas yeah, Luca was definitely he premeditated a lot of the shots and the way that he wanted, and he really focuses on physicality, and that was something that I really enjoyed seeing. um Julia Roberts, it wasn't just about emotion and tone. She really focused on physicality when she was being directed by Luca, and I think that's something he's always been really good at, coordinating the intimacy in Call Me by Your Name, and obviously in Challengers, there's a lot of important physicality when it comes to the tennis scenes and the romantic scenes, and so I really did take a mental note of, oh, he's all about the physicality and movement in the actors.
Yeah, and dare I say, Bella, I do believe it's busy times for you that you have one or two projects that might be coming our way later on in the year.
Yes, yeah, I shot a few projects this year. I have a couple coming out soon. There is a short film that I produced actually, which is circulating festivals at the moment called Imperfect Cadence, and it's the idea of I think a lot of creatives can relate to, where you have a musician and she dreams the perfect melody, but when she wakes up, she can't remember it. So she ends up kind of driving herself mad trying to remember this melody and actually going mad. And then there's a twist at the end. But her fiance is, there the whole time and he's being neglected by her. So that is currently circulating festivals, and we plan to turn that into a feature once the festival run is done. And then there is also a feature film I was involved in, which is about to also be released, called The Demoness. Um, kind of, you can tell what it's about in the title, about a demoness. And I was playing a girl called Sarah in that film, who has to deal with the demoness. So it's kind of a comedy horror film.
Okay, very, very good. Bella Glanville, I'm going to turn it over to you now for the final 30 seconds. You might enlighten all our audience on mass why they should go out to their cinema theatres on October 17th. Rock up there, say, get the popcorn, Maltesers, Pepsi, kick back on the recliner if the cinema has a bit of luxurious element to it, and watch After the Hunt. And when they do, Bella Glanville, what's in store for them?
All right, if you like good scripts, good ideas, and a film that's going to get you talking as well as be entertaining when you watch it,